Hi, this is Heather from Beyond Labs, and today I wanted to dive into a simulation of a Pinewood Derby race. I'm working on this with my kids now, and I thought you might want to see how we can simulate this within our lab. Okay, so a basic setup here for a ramp has a length of the incline about 8 feet long. It's at an angle of about 26 degrees is the standard angle. Your incline could be slightly different. Totally fine. This is going to teach you some basic principles here. I'm simulating this with a ball because our normal cars have wheels on them. You could also simulate it with a block, but it's going to act a little bit differently if you do that. I set it to be 5 ounces, so the maximum weight of the car, and we're going to look at how the friction on your car actually affects how long it takes to get down the ramp and then across the straightaway flat part. Okay, so our basic setup here, we're going to start it off. Boom, there we go. Okay, so if we write down the amount of time it took and the speed at the bottom of the incline, that's going to be the information we're going to be comparing with these different runs while we change the friction. So this took 1.26 seconds, we can see this over here, and it was going a speed of about 12.696 feet a second. I did these in standard American units that you may be used to with the dimensions you have on your ramp. We can certainly change the units if you're more comfortable with that. Okay. Now let's reset this experiment and then get into changing the friction on this. If you polish down your axles, polish your wheels using a very good lubricant, you can reduce your friction probably down to a friction coefficient of about 0.1 is what I've studied. And I want you to see how the final speed and the time compare in this situation. Okay, so we got down to a final speed of about 13.394. Our time was 1.19 seconds. That's a difference of about 0.07 seconds. It doesn't sound like that much, but in a race, totally makes a big difference. One final thing to consider in this situation, if you had air resistance on your car, you didn't have a very aerodynamic car, check and see how that affects it. Whoa, okay, that took the time up by 0.03 seconds, and it really changed that final velocity. That's a big difference in final velocity. It's going a lot slower. So make sure you make your car aerodynamic. Now let's see what happens when you're in the straightaway. So you've come off the incline, you're going into the straightaway. So we're just going to take our ramp down to an angle of 0. And many of these ramps have different lengths. We're going to take ours to a 24 feet length ramp. So we'll pull our ball back to the end of the ramp. And now we're going to set it for those 2 different coefficients of frictions that we had initially found. Our polished very smooth car, and then our normal rough car that hasn't been smoothed out very much. Okay, so in this situation, we're going to take our air resistance off just so that's not a complicating factor. We've got our low friction situation where you've worked really hard on it. What was our initial velocity in this situation? Right when we got to the bottom of that ramp, it was at 13.394 feet per second. Okay, so that's the speed it's going. We're going to see how long it takes to get to the end of this ramp. Here we go. Okay, so it took another 1.96 seconds, and it's going a final speed of 12.879, so it's definitely slowed down through this run. Now let's do the simulation when we were in that situation where we hadn't polished it, so about a friction coefficient of about 0.24. And this one had an initial speed of 12.696. So going significantly slower and more friction. Let's see how fast this one's going at the end. Okay, so this one has a final speed of 12.208, and it took another 2.03 seconds. So when we add these up, there's a difference in time of about 0.15 seconds. In a Pinewood Derby race, that much time makes a huge difference. So reduce the friction, reduce your air resistance, balance your car, do whatever you need to do. Good luck in your race.
Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and go to beyondlabs.com to download the entire suite of virtual labs.